The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everybody. Good crack of noon to our friends on the East Coast. I am Todd Obert, President and CEO of Productive Corporation. Joined here alongside me, brushing his teeth, is Pete Greco, VP of Sales and Technology. And we're going to talk to you today about CCleaner Cloud. It really is an easier, more central way to clean and manage your user environment. If you are one of 1 billion, you probably have downloaded the free version of CCleaner. But you don't get all the functionality of CCleaner Cloud, and CCleaner for Business CCleaner Cloud are the only legit programs to run in your business environment. So today, what are we going to do? Well, Pete, thanks for chiming in. Really appreciate it. We are going to meet Productive in 1 minute, and then we're going to show you the demo, right? Not a ton to say about CCleaner Cloud other than it cleans, and showing you the product is probably the best way to make the best use of your time. We're going to end it with software we love. There is Q&A throughout, so if you do have a question, please utilize the chat feature. But for now, let's meet Productive in 1 minute or less. Well, first of all, you might be thinking out loud, who is Productive Corporation? Well, I'm glad you asked. Productive Corporation provides security solutions for mid-sized companies. We have specialized expertise to help you with technical licensing questions and really understanding the products for your environment. We also implement, test, and optimize the products that we sell. At the high end, we do a security assessment and vulnerability assessments. We also can help you look at your Active Directory structure and make sure that that is secure. We do configuration and optimization of the products we sell, including gateways, UTMs, and endpoint. We also produce a lot of third-party content. You'll see a lot of that on productivecorp.com/content, as well as our YouTube channel. The bottom line is we have the resources to help you, whether it's implementation, assessment, licensing, or optimization services. We can help. Help at productivecorp.com. And if you're real old school, use the 800 number, 800-726-4099. For some of you who've been around, we call that the Watts line. And there you go. So I knew I would get Pete laughing at some point. That's always one of my goals, right? I am you're Tim Conway, and I'm Harvey Korman, I guess.
There you go.
It's very Carol Burnett-ish. So there we go. That I think I think I'm kind of throwing our age out there just a little too broadly. But anyway, that was the era. We watched TV before cable, and we loved it, and it was one of our friends, still is. So another one of our friends is Mr. Pete Greco. He's our VP of Sales and Technology, and one of his good friends is CCleaner. He loves it. He uses it here in our environment, and he has helped hundreds of our customers get it in, and I think has sold it to many more, and really loves the product and loves what it does in terms of reporting, viewing, and just making sure that those machines are running as effectively as possible. And also, I think, having it clean, make sure that if there is something potentially bad on there, it is wiped out, right? I'm not going to say it's a endpoint security product, but I do think it augments security and best practices. So with that, let's give it up for Mr. Pete Greco. Let's give him a warm virtual round of applause. Mr. Pete Greco. Pete?
All right. Thanks so much. Thanks, everybody, for hopping on with us. As soon as I get a little screen sharing control here, we'll get this party underway. So there's actually two different well, there's actually a few more than two. For a centrally managed product, there's really two main editions, the cloud or the on-premise edition. Obviously today we're taking a look at the cloud product. If you're familiar with any of the CCleaner tools though, some of the stuff that you're going to see here is going to be very familiar to you as far as the things that can be scanned and cleaned, the way the defraggler works, all that stuff is the same. One of the things that you can do with the cloud product that you can't do with the on-prem product, though, is you can actually make it accessible to the end user. Don't necessarily recommend doing that, but they give you that capability. The on-prem solution is totally headless, so there's nothing the end user can do or nothing that you can do even from that endpoint. It's all handled via the management console. So speaking of management consoles, all I've done so far is log in here. You can see we're under my account. If I click on my name, I can do some stuff with my account settings, nothing super informative there. If I want to add computers, I can come here and download the package or create a package for another machine. Gives me the capability to have this installer expire, which can help you make sure that you're always installing the latest version if you set that thing up to expire. But you can set it to unlimited downloads with unlimited time if you want to put that onto a thumb drive or a network share to be able to get it out there if you're planning on putting this on as a part of an image even. And then from here we can either download this package or we can email this out. It's a couple hundred megs, so it's not ginormous. One of the ways that a lot of our clients has installed this is taking advantage of GPO push out or PDQ deploy. Both work quite easily. This is going to create an MSI, so pretty ready to go right out of the box. You can see I've got this installed on a bunch of machines. Some of these boxes are turned off. A few of them actually, I think Green Day no longer exists, so I can probably get rid of that. I can do some actions right from this main console here. So if I highlight a couple of the machines, or I'm sorry, click on a couple of the machines, I can come down here and go ahead and clean those if I can make my mouse work. And I can start a clean job and I can start running this. You can see it's processing that. It's pushing in the request. I'm going to be able to track the status of this. I can go into one of these machines and start seeing the details. This is my box here. I just ran an individual scan on this right before this kicked off. And you can see it took about 6.63 seconds for that scan to run. It found about 175 megs of data to be removed. And as we scroll down here, we can kind of see what some of this stuff is. And if I'm curious, I really don't spend a lot of time looking at this, but if I'm curious, I can drill in here and see, was there, something specific that was big. I can sort by size or sort by description to find out kind of a little bit more about what's going on. Here, this was cache. You can see it's related to Sophos, which is another cloud product that we use. So I don't know if that was crash related or a standard thing or whatever. Again, I don't care too much because I'm just going to let CCleaner do its things. The way that it found all of this stuff here is from these checkboxes that I have checked on over here. And again, if you've used the free version, all this stuff is the same. If you've already got a preferred methodology that you like to use to scan, like I do, right, you can just simply copy those settings over. As I go over to the applications, right, it's catching every browser that I have installed. You can see I've got Chrome here. You saw Internet Explorer, Edge is here. If I installed Firefox on my laptop, then we would see Firefox settings there. I take advantage of a password manager to help manage my logins and passwords. So I definitely don't want to save any passwords in my browser. Those are ripe for password theft. So I definitely want to get those off. One of the things that I check off though, one of the things that I check off though is clearing the cache of Office 2016. One of the things that I like to do is pin a lot of my frequently used documents. And so I don't want to clear those out. So I check that box off. Right, and I've got a whole bunch of other caches that I can clear out. Same with remote desktop. You can see I've got a whole bunch of defaults in here. Well, these are in cache. That's
Hey,
using
Pete.
up my cache and memory. Yep.
Is there anything you would say for sure clean it out? I mean, like one of those you said you like to keep your cache for Office 2016, but is there something like I would do this one for sure because it's just creates a lot of overhead, or it could be just a lot of bad junk in there?
Yeah, so on Office, it does create some overhead, and I notice if we accidentally clear this, Office fires up instantly, and so
Okay.
that's where I'm willing to suffer a little bit in order to get that efficiency of having those documents. Compacting your browser databases, getting rid of those saved passwords really goes a long way. Getting rid of a lot of this stuff in the Windows system clears out cache and frees up disk space. Freeing up disk space, right? A lot of folks look at that and think, well, I've got such huge disks. Most of my users have 80, 90, 100 gig, but we're putting in terabyte disks. So they'd really have to grow their data significantly for it to make a difference. And that's true, and that's valid. But when you get rid of a lot of this junk, then your antivirus runs quicker. Some of your other endpoint products actually run quicker and launch quicker. So it's a great thing to do. And I really like to get as much of this stuff checked on as possible. Now, when you get into the advanced section, there's some stuff that you kind of need to think about. Again, getting rid of this menu order cache, you're going to see a much speedier Windows experience, but you're going to be getting rid of some of the stuff that you've got in here. So you got to balance a little bit user experience with efficiency. But if you have users that really demand, the ultimate in performance, getting every one of these checkboxes turned on is not a bad way to go. But I like having my desktop shortcuts. I like having my start menu shortcuts. I don't want that stuff getting cleared out, right? Because it leads to an efficient work experience. But when you do, boy, does your machine run fast, right? So one other area that you might want to take a look at is the custom files and folders. If you have any weird applications out there, and I've heard Adobe, some of the new Adobe products like the, I think it's Creative Cloud, right, is throwing some documents into some random areas. If you see some temporary files getting created in the non-temp folder, then you can put in some custom areas where you can go in and get rid of stuff for basically any application that's spitting out junk or spitting out garbage.
Yeah.
So
Adobe has always done that, and with their Creative Suite, and it is anybody, if you have a graphics or marketing department that uses it, I mean, it puts a lot of, gigs and gigs and gigs of data if they're working with decent sized files. It's kind of crazy.
Right. Yep, exactly. And so we did the analyze. It was super quick. I just did the clean. That was super quick. Right, I've got some details in here. I got a few things that have been skipped. If you hop into my options section here, you can see under my, actually should have, there we go. I should have some cookies here that are whitelisted. Maybe I didn't copy this setting right. So for anything that we use frequently, we can keep that cookie. Let's see if I can remember this. Right, so this would be a site that we go to quite a bit. That's our CRM in the cloud. So we can skip that cookie. Again, I can include specific things. I can exclude specific things. And the best part of either the on-prem product or the cloud product is the ability to clean all of the user profiles. One of the challenges with the free product is it only cleans the profile that's logged in. So if you have an end user who's complaining about slowness and you go over and log on as you because they're gone and run CCleaner, you're probably not doing anything to speed up their profile, or not doing much, right? We also have the registry cleaner. You can see I had a bunch of issues here, and this stuff just pops up pretty routinely from installing and uninstalling programs, deleting files that are linked to other programs, adding and removing Windows components and features, reinstalling stuff, and if I didn't say it up front, patching obviously is a big one. So a lot of stuff here, and we can clean that in a pretty big hurry. I always like to run this twice because I find a lot of times after the first run, if I come back in and do a second one, I'll find 1, 2, 3, or 4 registry entries that it's now identifying after I got rid of the bulk of it are still left over. This is making a backup of the registry to the local machine, so if something goes terribly wrong here, you can recover it from the local machine. Once I have my first machine set up and I'm ready to configure my other machines, I can use the policies from that. So I just added that whitelist policy here. I probably have that in some other policies. Now, if I go back to my main section, I can apply that policy from Cage the Elephant here. Right, there we go. Copy settings from. I think that probably gives us enough. Now, one of the little tricks here that it took me a couple minutes to figure out is you have to select it. Even if I typed in the full name, I still got to select it from the list, and then I can tell it what rules and settings do I want it to do. I have this run every day on all these machines. It takes so little time. The end user cannot tell that anything is happening, right? And so I run it, I think, at 9 o'clock every morning. We have a lot of schools who take advantage of this. They run it on startup on their lab machine. So anytime that box starts up or restarts, this is the first thing that runs. It just gets that machine back to a great state.
Hey, Pete.
So, yeah.
Hey, what ports/protocols must be configured on your firewall for the cloud product to work?
This is coming in over port 80, so you don't need to do anything on the firewall.
Okay, it's not going to look like something rogue or?
Nope. Nope, it's just sending some really low-level commands. All the work, the CCleaner Cloud is not doing anything on that machine. It's just telling the agent when to go and when to give it back basically a text-based report on stuff that's going on. Now, if you're running some intrusion prevention or some other programs, it's possible. I haven't seen it, but it's possible if you were trying to do patches, and this is some of the stuff that I'm going to show you next here, or install applications, you might see a block from a NIPS or a HIPS type situation. I haven't seen it yet, but anything is possible. And you can't just install any kind of software. It's really just some known widely used applications, and I'll show those to you. So
okay.
One of the handy things, and some of the stuff that I'm going to show you now is exclusive to the cloud product. You're not going to get this in the on-prem edition, right? So again, I've drilled into my personal machine, Cage the Elephant here, and you can see some information about my box, Windows 10 Pro, 64-bit, what CPU I have, how much RAM I have, right? All kinds of good stuff here. And this is one of the things that I like to use when we have a guy who's working from home or remote, and he's telling me he's having an issue. I can log in here and take a real quick look and see kind of what's going on with bandwidth, with memory, just some of the stuff that I might typically do if I was sitting at his machine, launch that task manager and get some of this information just to kind of see what is running here, right? So I might be looking at this exact same thing if I were sitting at the machine, but now I can do it remotely. And this isn't the only tool that you can get that does this kind of stuff, but it's handy if you're taking advantage of it, right? Under the hardware side, I can get a pretty complete inventory. So if I need to find out any kind of information on a machine, I can get a lot of it right here. Kind of handy. On the software side, this is where I can start doing some fun stuff, and a lot of this stuff you can do in the on-prem product as far as blocking processes from starting up, so you can gain some efficiency there. Here I'm looking at all the users, but I can drill down into just my personal account on that machine, or just the admin account, or whatever I want to do. I can see the processes that are running here. See some information around the operating system. I can control Windows Update and choose what patches I want to get done. Now, we would typically recommend a full patch management solution for something like this, just to be able to stay on top of that and get those third-party patches. But if you don't have anything, this is a great thing to be taking a look at. And you can deploy some softwares right out of the box. Now, if you want to do any custom software, you got to do it from Dropbox. I don't like that, but it's something that you could set up if you wanted to take advantage of it, right? And then you can put whatever MSI folder. Could be some issues here. We haven't helped anybody do that, and we haven't recommended that anybody do it, but it's a feature. You know, if you're 5 people and you know, you got a pretty tight control over the environment, that's one thing, but for a big environment, might not be your best bet. Defraggler, you know, in the age of solid state drive, defragmentation is becoming less needed, but still tons of traditional disk out there. And so again, this is another one of those things you can just schedule this and forget all about it so that it runs weekly, daily. Probably wouldn't do defrag daily, but if you run it weekly or monthly, it's going to run quick because your disk isn't going to get completely out of whack in a week, right? And it's going to keep that machine performing, which is a great way to go. And you can see on my SSD here, pretty tight, right? But on traditional disk, that really starts getting messy. Under the tool section, you can do a reboot, which not quite sure how I feel about doing this. I guess if I was helping somebody, this might be handy, but typically I would just tell them, go ahead and reboot that machine, or if I were sitting at the console, I would reboot it, but it's in there if you need to, and you can do some pinging and this kind of stuff, right? And then under the options, here's where I can do that scheduling, and you can see how I have ours set up. 10 a.m. runs every day, and you do the same thing with your defrag. Right? Under the events, you can see what kind of stuff, or you can set what kind of stuff you want to pop up and alert you to and how you want to get alerted. That's definitely a plus over the on-prem product. Some of the pluses for the on-prem product, though, is ability to push out from the on-prem console. So that's pretty solid. The on-prem product also allows you to put your machines into groups and then scan based on those groups. CCleaner is working on that still for the cloud product. So I have my machines grouped, but once I get them in their group, I can't really do anything with them. I can only actually do something from the list view. So that's a feature that we're looking to come out here real quick. You can do that in the on-prem product today. We're expecting to see that there real soon. Todd, do we have any questions?
I mean, there's just a lot of comments coming in about best presentation ever. You know, yeah. No, we had the firewall one, and then it's been along that line, right? I mean, I think that you have given the people what they want. You've shown them the reporting, the flexibility. I mean, it's a very straightforward product. I think it's, you know, the biggest thing we see is, right, people take it, they demo it and trial it, and they're like, yeah, this is improving performance, it's cleaning up users' computers, and it's essentially, I'm getting less help desk type calls because I've got all this stuff out of there.
Yeah, the folks that have really, I think, gotten the biggest benefit out of it have done exactly what I've done. You get it set up, you get those policies configured, and then you just don't think about it anymore. That's the value. There are some reports. I actually didn't show reports, but there are some reports you can run here. There's a few more reports in the on-prem product. Some of those are coming or making their way into the cloud product. I don't know anybody that does anything with the report. That doesn't mean they don't exist, but I certainly don't. And a lot of the customers that I've spoken to who've been using this product for a year or a couple of years, or using the on-prem product for a really long time, you know, they don't run reports ever. And so the real goal here is get this set up, forget about it, get on with your day. This is designed to make you more efficient, right? And then if you need to hop in here, if someone's calling in and saying they've got a slow machine, or you're working on somebody's machine and you're feeling like, man, this seems unnecessarily slow, that's where I'd come in here and run a manual check. You know, if I was over working on Matt's box, I might just hop in here and say, hey, you know, Matt's machine is is I don't think it's running right. And so one of the first things that I do before I start blaming hardware, that'll be my second thing, right, is go ahead and hop in here and just run a quick scan. You can see he's actually got 2 megs to be removed because this just ran this morning. We'll go ahead and clean them up, though, as long as we're here.
Yep. I do have a couple questions for you now that you made a call for
Well,
questions.
I got to get going.
Yeah,
I'm
good.
late.
See, that's the classic, the classic duck, dodge, dip, duck, dodge.
Exactly, the 5 Ds.
The 5 Ds. So, does the, we have our guys group there. Does this sync with Active Directory?
It does not.
Okay.
It's not going to leverage Active Directory at all with the cloud product. It's only going to identify the agents that have been pushed out. So they are tied to your cloud account. So if I sent you my agent, you installed it on one of your machines, I would be managing that machine no matter what. The on-prem product can be tied to Active Directory. It's one of the, I think there's 3 ways that you can import machines into the on-prem version, and AD is one of those.
Okay. And then here's a question. I'm going to be curious if you know this. I'll be impressed if you do. Are you able to exclude certain registry keys from the registry scanner? So Jason said, hey, I know you can in the free version, but you can't on the current on-prem product.
I believe you can do an exclusion. Bear with me 1 second here.
Oh,
right here.
There you go.
Yeah, you can't. Did he say you can't do it in the on-prem product? I believe you can do it in the on-prem product as well.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he's saying you can. He said you could in the free version. I guess I don't know, but I would. You've worked with CCleaner enough. I'm guessing that you would probably know that.
Yeah, I think you go in the on-prem product, you right-click on the machine or the group, and go into CCleaner and then settings, and I believe it's right there. I'm actually trying to see if we can launch that real quick. I don't know if I can pull that box up prior to this session ending, but I'll see if I can get a quick verification on that. Any additional questions?
Oh, well, this is a continue. Oh, here's one. Yeah. For the on-premise product, if I change the machine name, CCleaner, the agent won't reflect the new name. Does the cloud product also do this?
Ooh, I have not.
I don't know if we've
trying to think of. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to think of, because usually it's not that we never change machine names, but really the only time we do is when we're rebuilding that machine anyway, and then I'm going to redeploy the agent. On the on-prem product, I think that you could do a refresh of the agent. I am a little rusty there, and I'm not looking at the console, but I think you can do a refresh in the agent somewhere where that should update. And I think if you click on the machine and then you're looking at kind of the main view, that's where you see that. Again, I'm a little rusty there.
Well, let's have you, we can take this offline too, and we can have their account exec follow up with them with the full answer as well. If you can test it out, then we'll shoot you a note and kind of take it from there. So appreciate the question. But now, Pete, we're getting close to the middle of the hour. I like to commit to stay on time and be respectful of everybody's time. Last thing we got is software we love, right? If you get me over to that slide, right? We think, CCleaner is a great start, and but we also think taking a look at the endpoint, we do a lot of Sophos, a lot of Kaspersky. Malwarebytes is also a good complementary product to these. So let us know if that's something you're looking at as well, and we can help you out. But for now, let me say thank you to everybody for taking the time. We know you got a lot of stuff going on in your day, so 30 minutes with us is very much appreciated. Pete, fantastic presentation as always, and that's a wrap. So I'm Todd Obert from Productive, along with Pete Greco, wishing you a fantastic balance of your day and week, and hopefully we'll talk soon. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everybody.